Online growth, strong performance in Italy, but continual struggles in Sweden. These are some of the topics we'll be discussing in part 3 of the JR Huddle Sweden Focus with LeoVegas CEO Gustaf Hagman. Hi Gustaf, thanks for joining us.
Hi guys, good afternoon. Thanks for invitation.
Yeah, it's our pleasure to have you on. We're speaking with you for part 3 of our Sweden Focus, and also because last week LeoVegas reported your Q4 financial results. Could you, to start off with, give us your rundown of LeoVegas's Q4 and the full year financial report?
Sure. Yeah, well, all in all, I think really solid quarter. We managed to reach around 9% in growth and actually 25% EBITDA margin for the quarter. For the quarter, as for the full year. But there was also a lot of innovation they made last quarter. So I'm particularly proud of the Leo Jackpot, which went live during the quarter, which is our own unique jackpot solution. It's actually around 6 million euros at this moment. But also our open banking solution, which is really good for the future, and a strategy that we are sort of digging more into the food chain in this industry. So all in all, a strong quarter, and we had a really good update also for January. So there is a lot of positive things going on right now.
Absolutely, yeah. You've mentioned some positivity overall and some specific positive points. One thing I wanted to ask you about particularly, you mentioned, LeoVegas mentioned in its report that Italy is now one of its top 5 markets, I believe. I wanted to ask you exactly how that's kind of been achieved, given that there was obviously an advertising ban in Italy, and there was a lot of concern among operators that this would impact performance. So how has that transpired that Italy is now actually doing so well for LeoVegas?
Well, I think it's a tribute to the team. We bought a company in Italy, in Milan, a few years ago, and they've been working really hard in order to put us on the map for Italy, and also to sort of being in forefront when it comes to the mobile, and put the position on mobile, LeoVegas' position on mobile for Italy. And I think and believe strongly in the product. Since we can't do any marketing, then the one who has the best product will win the race, more or less. And during the lockdowns in Italy, of course, people were shopping around for the best product online and best product on the mobile, and then they came across Leo and then stayed at LeoVegas. That's essentially what's happening right now. We can see, as you said, a really good uptake in the Italian market. So very happy about that.
Sure. So Italy is a positive market at the moment. Another market that you mentioned in the report was Germany, and that LeoVegas had to implement a number of changes ahead of forthcoming regulations. This LeoVegas mentioned it impacted revenue. What kind of changes exactly did this involve?
So yeah, well, the new German legislation will come into force in July this year, and ahead of that, they have came out with a series of implementations that needs to be made ahead of the new regulations. So there is a requirements that came out 15th of October, and then the second set in December. It's things like €1,000 deposit limit on a monthly basis, and 5-second spin between spin and maximum stakes at €1, etc. And all of these things, of course, impact the customer experience, I would say. So, and we managed to implement everything in time during October and December, and that has impacted us substantially in both Q4, but also in January.
So I believe. Sorry, carry on.
So more or less, we took the full hit of everything in January, and found ourselves on a new ground, and now we are ready to grow from where we are today. So. And we also been transparent. We were around 50 to 55, 60% when it was the worst weeks, so to speak, down in Germany. But we feel that we hit the ground, and we can take it from there.
Sure, yeah. So the question I was going to ask, because you mentioned obviously kind of speed play and deposit limits. Will you be facing similar in the UK with the kind of the new slot kind of guidance and regulation that has been put forward by the Gambling Commission?
Well, yeah, we are waiting for sort of what's going to come out of UK. There's a lot of talks right now and a little bit of rumors as well, of course. We'll see what happens. It's to some extent we have already implemented some measures at LeoVegas at least, and follow guidelines, etc. But yes, it will most likely have some kind of impact on the market when it will be disclosed, of course.
And that's a trend that, again, LeoVegas has already kind of referred to in its report, because the company said that in all core markets except Sweden and the UK, there's been sort of double-digit growth. Obviously, this is the Sweden focus, so we've got plenty to talk about when it comes to Sweden. And I know for our CEO special, we already did discuss Sweden kind of at length as well. I wanted to ask specifically, how exactly did LeoVegas perform in Sweden in Q4 and last year,
given kind of everything that's going on at the moment in the market? I think given everything that's going on in Sweden, we're doing okay, or actually well. We've been growing sequentially month on month for 5 or 6 months or something in the Swedish market. So that's a good sign. And there's a lot of things going on in the Swedish market as well, but very high up on the prioritization from the government now is actually to implement business to business licenses on the Swedish market, but also to protect the Swedish market for unlicensed operators, to protect the channelization in Sweden, because it's very low. I think it's also hit its ground around 75%. So there is a black market of 25% in Sweden right now, which is huge actually, and that's kind of a failure for the new legislation here, because they said one of the milestones for them one of the goals for them were to have a channelization above 90%, and now it's 75%. So it's quite far off, but they have acknowledged that and they are working on it. So that's a good sign.
Yeah, in part one of our series, we spoke with Gustaf Hagman about kind of this exact channelization and black market issue. You mentioned kind of sequential growth. Are you kind of year on year, exactly how are you impacted given kind of the lack of channelization in the market?
Well, if I can tell you that if there weren't any unlicensed operators, then of course LeoVegas would have grown a lot better, and because we have a really, really strong brand. We are the strongest brand in Sweden when it comes to casino, and a great product suitable for the Swedish market. So it's, and we've been here for 9 years. So it's, of course, it would have looked even better if it weren't for the channelization and the unlicensed operators. But again, they are working on it. The government and other stakeholders are working on that.
Exactly. You mentioned the acknowledgement from the government and perhaps from the regulatory side. Has there been any significant kind of recent progress from the government and their spokespeople in this area?
Well, there's been some talks in media and some discussions going on, and I know from sort of inside when it comes to the Swedish SGA that this is high up on their agenda. So I know that they are working on it, which is good. And it has to do with trust as well, of course. If the entire new legislation is going to be trustworthy, they need to address the issue that the channelization is just 75% and not 90%, which were their goal. It's quite far off.
Of course, and given this kind of acknowledgement, do you see more long-term hope? I mean, looking at the past couple of years, obviously the signs not too encouraging early on.
I do, yeah, I do see hopes for the Swedish market, and in particular, but there's a lot of markets growing for LeoVegas right now. It's we spoke about Italy, but also Spain and several other markets are doing it really well, and we also come back to growth in the UK actually month on month, the last 4 to 6 months. So that's also a good sign for the UK market for us.
Absolutely. Yeah. When we talk about Sweden, kind of what needs to change to kind of achieve this improved channelization, but at the same time still, protect customers as best as possible?
Well, I think the Swedish government's never going to use IP blocking as maybe other countries in Europe will do, but they're not going to use that. They're not going to be that sort of harsh or hard, but they will start with business-to-business licenses and primarily for the gaming suppliers, which is of course very, very good, because then unlicensed operators won't have any content. Well, they will have content, but less credible content maybe. And then hopefully they will include also the payment side and the payment providers, because if they do that, then you will really sort of shut down a lot of unlicensed operators on the Swedish market, because then you won't be able to, as a customer, you won't be able to transfer money. So that's going to be a huge sort of, if they manage to include even payment suppliers in that new B2B licenses, then that will be a game changer, I think.
Are these realistic prospects for 2021? And if so, what would your projections be for the market?
That's a good question. I know that they are. I know that as of now, I think it's going to be implemented 2022 or at some point. But so I don't think we should have too much hopes on 2021 actually. But at least in the beginning of 2022, hopefully, I would say.
So does that really leave 2021 more or less on par with 2020 for kind of performance and sort of regulatory issues continuing?
Well, the thing is that we have temporary restrictions as well, which is they're most likely going to be lifted if sort of the society opens up again. They will be lifted the 1st of July this year. And then, of course, it will be better from a competitive point of view, it will be better for the licensed operators as well, towards the unlicensed guys. Right now we have 5,000 Swedish on a weekly basis for deposits and also a bonus cap for new customers. And hopefully that will be lifted already 1st of July. So then that would be a change as well, going back to where we were before.
Yeah, and I know we've discussed these restrictions, and they came in. I mean, I kind of, you said your views before, but looking back now, kind of we had several months with these kind of Swedish restrictions. Would you still say they failed in terms of their intended purpose to protect players, or has the SGA kind of found some balance? What would you say, kind of with more time now and to look back on?
Sorry again. What? If look back on what? Look back on.
Yeah, sorry. So now that we've had these restrictions for kind of a few more months, because when we spoke a couple of months back, you weren't impressed really with the way the re-regulation had gone and these added restrictions. Are you still of that opinion, or kind of can you see that the SGA is kind of having to balance these things at the moment?
Maybe a bit more, but still, it's one thing when it comes to bonuses for new customers. I think that's one of the things that new customers actually are searching for or Googling at, and then they will end up on unlicensed sites. That part is really bad when it comes to protecting customers. The 5,000 Swedish month sort of weekly deposit limit, of course, that sort of as well, but then again, if you look at our customer base right now, it's a lot of much more recreational players and casual players that are playing at LeoVegas. We have a huge database today and a lot of new customers coming in. So they're playing for less, which I think is more healthy as well. The average player spend has come down a lot. So it's around 65, 70 euros on a monthly basis. And hey, that's just like, I don't know, that's like a restaurant visit or going to a restaurant or a cinema or something like that. So it's more like entertainment. We're taking from the entertainment wallet a little bit, I would say.
Yeah, absolutely. And my final kind of topic for you, because obviously we've spoken at length about Sweden, but you were keen to mention that there were lots of positive markets other than Sweden for LeoVegas. Looking at kind of overall performance and looking at all your different markets, what are your projections kind of for the year ahead? Anything specifically to look out for with LeoVegas, and how do you see your performance kind of growing in 2021?
Well, we will continue to innovate. There will be more really good innovation coming out, such as we have the Leo Jackpot and open banking, which will change a lot of things for us going long term. We will continue to enter new markets. Will be a couple of new markets during the year, and we will continue to dig where you stand as well to improve our product, conversion rates, everything, and the customer experience towards the journey of King of Casino, basically.
Well, Gustaf, thanks very much for your time and for your answers, and best of luck for the year ahead, especially in Sweden, where, as you say, there's plenty still going on.
Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks, Tim.
For more from Gustaf Hagman, check out our CEO special interview with the LeoVegas CEO on GamblingInsider.com and the January-February edition of Gambling Insider magazine.